Later today, the Monetary Policy Committee, chaired by the Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele, will be deciding on interest rates and other key levers, the third of such meetings this year. This comes as central banks around the world face a tough decision on how to balance growth, tackling inflation, as the war in Ukraine further complicates the context for the central bankers. All right, Business Analyst Chika Mbonu, who is also a former banker, joins us now to preview the monetary policy meeting. Chika, good morning. Welcome to the show. The whole political environment is so heavy, so I'm sure somewhere in the middle we'll find an umbrella, whatever it is, for the central bank monetary policy. Because whether we like it or not, this is huge as it can get. Central bankers around the world are sweating.
Really
this is not a good. This is not a very nice time to be a central bank.
In South Africa.
Yes.
That they push the rate up.
Yeah, Ghana, the 200.
Ghana pushed up.
Yes, even Egypt is going.
Worldwide, just like we'll talk about in this program, each time the Monetary Policy Committee meets around the whole world, they always face with the decision, should we move interest rates up, should we move it down, or leave it at the level that it is?
Inflation is the enemy here.
Because those three decisions affect money supply, the quantum of money in the country, which also impacts on inflation. And the disease that every central bank in the world is dealing with now is inflation.
It's the virus.
So many countries, including the Western world, have not seen the level of inflation that we have seen, that everybody's seen now. Nigeria, bring it home. You saw the last inflation figures, how it's hanging up there. And especially food inflation that affects all of us. And then remember also that we have been struggling, to manage growth. The growth in Nigeria has also been tentative. So as I always say, the central bank governor is...
the GDP wasn't yesterday at 3.11%.
Yeah. So it's always first, it's like the sickness, the medicine to enable growth move up, and the medicine for inflation always fight each other. And you must find, as you said in your rider, the balance always. So our governor, the MPC for Nigeria will be faced with that decision. Should we leave interest rates the way it is? Should we move interest rates up, which will reduce money supply, and then moderate inflation? Those are the key things.
Perhaps.
Yeah, perhaps. Those are the key things. But you see, the inflation, it has to do a lot. Happening now is a lot to do a lot with the supply side, which have the disruption. We came out from COVID, the supply chain was being restored. Then he got a hammer from the Ukraine-Russian war, which also affected food supply and the value chains. And oil prices also moved up. So you see all this in a basket. And so I don't wish to be in their shoes.
If other central banks are raising rates around us, how do you think we should decide, therefore?
Our central bank has been keeping an eye on growth. Remember, we came out from recession. And the growth figures have been lowered single digits. And so they have held it so far and saying, let us watch the permeation of our policies into the system and see whether they'll drive growth.
We've done 6 consecutive quarters
of growth.
Yes. Yeah. Is that strong enough?
Yeah,
Would that be strong enough?
I think the inflation is almost getting, running away. As I said, I don't envy them. Maybe what will happen now is that they follow the trend of most of the central banks around us. South Africa, Ghana, the UK, US, everybody's inching rates upwards. Maybe they would throw in something to move the rate up. If they do that, listen, for Nigeria, it will not be unexpected. If they leave the rate also where it is, it will not be unexpected.
Is it a good time, considering the political environment, the political spending, a whole lot around liquidity, monetary, money supply and all of that? So that will have to be a key consideration, which were not there last year.
A lot of Naira is going to pour into the system.
Already pouring in.
But we see, we've known in the past also that during the major campaigns, primary is going to be over by this weekend, hopefully, by the end of the month, and then we'll go into the full election. Something that used to happen also, like a lot of these our dollars that have been inside the cupboards and hidden away from us, used to come into the system and move into Naira. And it used to also help to moderate Naira-dollar exchange rate, because a lot of dollars come in. we hope that will happen in this cycle.
So what happens to currency, naira in circulation, and how that impacts our productivity? If you have so much naira chasing fuel,
fuel goods, again, the issue is the same pressure on inflation. So as I said, if the MPC in his wisdom decides to move the rate up, so that to moderate inflation, we won't be surprised. If also they're keeping an eye on growth, and say, okay, let's watch one more quarter of growth and see what will happen, it will also not be surprising. But I mean, inflation is trying to get away from us, and I wouldn't be surprised if they move rates up.
We have about 4 more monetary policy meetings or so between now and the elections in the first quarter of next year. Between now and then, do you think the central bank will have to move rates either way?
What we have seen in the past, based on experience, that the closer we are to the election, the central bank tends not to tinker with the key variables in the economy, so as to not give impression that they are trying to make things look good for one of the parties. Because any action they take can be looked at from the window that, maybe they are supporting the government in power or vice versa. So that's what normally happens. So if they're going to do anything, think out with the factors. I have a feeling that this is the window they have to do it now.
This meeting today.
Sit far away from, 4 cycles from 4 quarters from.
Yeah, so if the MPC decide to go up or down today, they could wait to see what it looks like before we get really close to the voting period. Because the real campaign hasn't really started to the people. Now they're just going to be as
once the primary finish now, then the real campaign starts. And we'll start seeing the 2 candidates or 2 core candidates of the 2 main parties and the economic policies. I must say that this election cycle has been a little different from what we're used to.
What are you seeing?
Because the primaries have been a little more robust than we saw in the past.
Tell me.
And I hope that when the candidates come out also, we'll be able to put them on the list and beat them up and make sure that we understand what they're going to do. See, 2023 is going to be different dynamics for our country. We are buffeted with higher level of unemployment, the poverty capital of the world, a high level of inflation, so many variables. The misery index, everything that is negative, we're the champion. So the economy is stupid. It's going to be a key variable. In addition to security.
But are you seeing motivation for execution, ability to get this done, or are you seeing folks who are interested in being called the CEO?
No. I mean, see, what's happened is that I keep saying that as the electoral law becomes a little more tighter and guarantees a little more free and fair election and avoid the things of the past where people write results in quote, candidates will tend more towards selling themselves a little more. And that's what we're seeing. So you will hear even during the primary, within the parties, candidates trying to sell themselves and their capabilities and the track records. And I think that will happen more when we have the 2 candidates come out from the 2 core parties.
Okay.
And as I said before in the program, we wouldn't accept debates and campaigns by proxy. We would like to put the candidates up there and then challenge them and hear them speak and understand their intellect and the understanding of global economics, developmental economics, the key issues in the country, how they're going to handle security, foreign direct investment, and so on and so forth. And for us, because 2023 should be different for our country.
Okay. That'll be good. Let's see how it all goes, because right now we still have quite about almost 30, 40, 50 folks out there are jostling for this position and all that. We've never seen such a very huge...
the large field like this.
Yes, yes. The field of play is very heavy.
By this time, usually, everything has been contrived and consensus, and they will get a better indication of where I'm headed. But this time around, people are still campaigning. A week to the field is still very large. A week to a few days to the election, to primary election, and it's interesting. So let's the more the merrier. Let's hear everybody, and after the primaries, then everybody recedes, and then let's see the 2 candidates push out the agenda.
Okay, I'm going to give you just about one question each. We spoke about, we chatted to about 3 of the candidates from the People's Democratic Party earlier with my guest, Osa. And the first was Atiku Abubakar, and I said there was no particular order or preferential order, but just the first names and alphabet in alphabetical order. Atiku Abubakar. What do you make of him in terms of what you've heard from him?
I mean, he is of the old order, if you want to call it like that. He's been inside this politics for a long time. Career politician, literally, but also a businessman who understands business, which is very important for the country. And so he's been a vice president, so that comes with experience. He understands issues of the country. That's also very important.
Okay.
The major issue we have is that, remember, we're moving towards the younger generation, and we hope that doesn't count against it.
Okay, let's see who has what it takes to deliver the job. Whether age is important is another thing. Give me about 1 minute or less on Bukola Saraki very quickly.
I think it's sound, very sound, understands politics. Sound banker, understands economics. Medical doctor.
Yes.
Erudite, good elocution, understands the issues in the country.
Okay.
And as I told some people the other day, he wouldn't make a bad president for us and would represent us very well.
Okay, I wouldn't be asking for your scoring. Mohammed Ayatollah in 30 seconds.
Sound banker, sound economist also, grounded. Let me not be partial. He was my boss at the time. And I think he can do it.
I'm going to deduct part of your scoring for him based on what you just said. That's Chika Mbonu. Thank you so much. Arise Business Analyst. Thank you so much.